Well, hello. If we haven't had a chance to meet before, my name's Matt and welcome to The Search. We are believing that as a community online, we can actually start diving into some of the great promises and maybe working through together some of the problems which inhibit those promises from becoming a great reality in our lives. It's wonderful to be joining with you wherever you are, in your lounge room, on the bus, kicking back on a lounge chair somewhere. And I just would love to continue to encourage you to put your comments in, put your questions in. There will be some space at the end of this time together where we can actually do that. It's going to be truly fantastic to, I believe, really be able to get to know a little bit more of our purpose and the plan for our lives. You know, I want to start this series on The Search really talking a little bit about the foundations of that sense of search. Search actually comes from the Latin word circus, circle, to go around. And you know what? I believe that we're searching for things in our lives. We understand that there's the universal search for origin and destiny. There's the universal search for morality. How do I determine right and wrong? And then what is my meaning? What is my purpose? And we actually have these searches, a search for completeness, a search for love and hope, and something which is often beyond ourselves. And so we search together. Each week, coming out normally on about a Tuesday, we would like to be able to start some questions together. We'd like to pose maybe an issue that we're facing or an opportunity that we're about to step into, some of the problems which are inhibiting that, and then look at the promise and the provision which is actually as inbuilt into this, either this opportunity or this problem. We'd like to ask a good question to be able to chew on together, and then create some space simply online, and maybe taking some steps in person wherever that's possible to do this journey and to go on this search together, because I can promise you that there is wonderful things for your life. We can be overwhelmed by the goodness of life. We can be overwhelmed by kindness and generosity. We can be overwhelmed by someone's faith. We can be overwhelmed by someone's courage, or we can be overwhelmed by the problems and the insincerities. We can be overwhelmed by the evil, the deceitfulness of this world. And I don't know about you, friends, but I want to live astonished. I want to live astonished. I want to live blown away. I want to live humbled by everything that I see going on around me, and indeed the journey that is going on inside of me. And I think probably where we'll be landing most weeks is actually on this spectacular word of love that does have an origin, that does have a future, and it actually does, this love does give meaning to my days and a sense of knowing what is true, what is right and what is wrong, and how to navigate that. And we're looking forward to being able to do that on The Search together. You know, we all have desires, we all have hopes, and we all have dreams. We all have pain, and we all have problems. One of my favorite lines from SpongeBob SquarePants is when Patrick Starfish is asked how stupid he is. He goes, "It varies." You know what? Our pain, our potential, you know, the promises and the joy that we run in, or the way that we can actually feel a real sense of lack can vary. And we're not on the search for the perfect chocolate bar, or the perfect wave, or the perfect song, the perfect sunset. As good as some of those pursuits are, we know that there's something much deeper inside of us that we are looking for. The Apostle Paul in Philippians 4 said, "I have learned what it is to be content with all the things which are going on in my life right now, whether I have a little or a lot, whether I am feeling great or I'm feeling rubbish, whether I've got multiple friends and allies around me, or whether I'm feeling completely alone. I have learned to be content, and that all things are possible through a relationship with Jesus." And I guess we're going to contend that this search actually has a foundation of truth. And I'd like to look at that a little bit more next week, about what is truth, and how do we discern truth, how do we know truth, how do we have a life founded on truth, particularly in a day and age where truth is actually so subjective, and you know, really they're still questioning, well, what really is truth? But we're seeking these things out. We're on the search for this. And so I guess even as you're watching this now, you might want to start thinking about, what am I searching for? What am I hungry for? And sometimes we think it's going to be something brilliant and bold. I'm searching for, this pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. I'm searching for some secret ladder to get me into the top of Mount Everest, or to some specially reserved place of peace that only few find. But sometimes it's in the searching that we start a search for something, and we actually end up discovering something so much more powerful, so much more beautiful, so much more personal. There is that purpose for your life, friends. We say this all the time as a community of faith, that you are made on purpose for a purpose. You are beautifully wrought together. You are not a mistake. You are not cosmic slime having a spectacularly bad day, or at the end of 10 billion bad days. You are spectacularly made, and you breathe because there is something for you to know. There is something for you to discover. There is something for you to enjoy. And I believe there is something for you to release into those around you that you love, and even those around you who you may challenge or even call your enemy. There is something for us to be able to bring into the world. And I believe that we do that together. I'm really hoping that these once a week little series on the search might actually help us unpack some of those things, look at some of those things. I'm really excited to start looking at concepts such as, how do I live a more patient life? Patient with myself, patient with my circumstances, patient with those around me. How can I not be quite so irritable or boastful or proud? How can I live a life that maybe isn't living in comparison with other people and being envious or being jealous or feeling a sense of insufficiency and insecurity because of what I see going around me? I'm looking forward to going on the search with you in some of these areas. But I guess that I want to start by saying this search isn't determined by your past, and it's not determined by some lofty aspirations for your future. It is simply a decision that we make today that says, I will begin a search for something that is missing in my life. It may be missing for you emotionally. It may be missing for you relationally. It may be missing for you spiritually, and you just know that a small pivot, a small adjustment, a change of scenery or change of perspective may bring about a brilliant new understanding of what is currently in your hands, sitting at your feet, or that you can be walking in and indeed running in great joy, great peace, great laughter with others actually in it. We understand that all things actually are possible, and we can doubt that. That's totally fine. Let's search this out together. So each week we just simply want to be able to have some weekly segments. We are going to be bringing in some guests to help us do that. So just as a way of wrapping up today in an introduction, I've kind of reflected on this already, that we want to bring some sort of great thought, an opportunity or an issue that we're facing that I believe is, without sort of trying to make everything fit into the same cookie cutter, I believe they are universal desires and needs of the human heart. We want to look at some of the problems which are inhibiting that running in fullness, knowing that contentment, rising up in peace and resting at the end of the day going, I did well and today was well with my soul. We want to look at some of the problems, and I think that there is a truth that actually goes, there is not a problem in our life that doesn't come pre-packaged with provision and promise. Every problem that we're facing, every issue that we have, every opportunity that we stand on the cusp of is actually all pre-packaged with promise and provision about who you are and who you are becoming. And then I'd love to ask a really great question. A question for us to chew on, a question for us to reflect on, a question for us to start some online conversations and threads at the end of this video, and then eventually we'll be able to pray for each other and move into some deeper levels of relationship. So if you haven't subscribed to us yet, why don't you subscribe? If you think that this could be shared with a friend and you'd like to do this search each week with a friend, that would be pretty fantastic. You can share this into your open platform. You might choose to share it with one or two friends or one or two family members and say, hey, why don't we watch this together? You might be able to just start a comment at the end. I know that there would have been comments coming up already. Thank you so much. But I believe that the deeper, more meaningful conversations will happen now as you ask some questions, make some statements, and we can respond to each other in kindness, in a belief that there is that purpose. And as we search that out together, it's going to be wonderful. So I guess my question for us at the beginning of this series on the search is, what are you searching for? What would you be brave enough to say, this is a component of my life that I would like to see added to? There is a perspective or an emotional state. There is a question that I have that I would like to see adjusted and brought into a greater sense of peace. I may not have it yet, but I want to know that it's actually okay, that I can sit here and say, I'm searching for that. I'm active and I'm in partnership with others as I seek out something in a relationship, as I seek out something in my soul, my emotions, or my will, as I seek out some spiritual fruit in my life of joy or of gentleness or of kindness. I'm wondering if you'd like to begin those conversations and help us build this series and some of these times together with your conversations. And indeed, if you have questions or if you'd love someone to connect with you and contact you, there is space there to do that. As always, you can do that at abundant.org.au in an email. You can personally message us through our Abundant Life Church Facebook, as well as our Abundant Life Church Tasmania YouTube channel, or indeed our phone app. But until then, listen, God bless you. I'm really looking forward to being with you next week. Thank you for being in our very first episode. I hope you got something out of this. I hope that you can share this with someone and really believe that you would know love as indeed you go and love somebody. God bless you and have a great week.